Do you want to know how to change a tube on your bicycle really easy? On today's BMX for Beginners, we're going to do a how to change your inner tube, or change your tire, or replace a tire, or replace your tube. So yeah, let's get to it. Actually, before we get to it, we have a contest going on, so same rules apply for these contests that are going on now and going on in the future. But hang tight and we'll tell you all the details how you can win a bunch of free parts from our bike shop, as well as win a free bicycle and other things in the future. So yeah, let me teach you how to change this tube. I know tube is something really basic, but unfortunately there isn't a bike shop in the neighborhood that teaches you how to change your tubes all the time, or there just isn't a store that you can go to and tells you how to fix your bicycle. So I'll help you guys out and teach you guys some little tricks and tips and just kind of how the rim works and stuff like that to make it easier on you and allow you to change your tube or your tire on your own. So you're going to need a couple of tools. I think the biggest one is that I guess everybody thinks that you need is a tire lever. We use this style tire lever. You can use any style tire lever, but there's a couple key features on this tire lever that makes it easy to remove tubes and tires. One of them is just this little scoop on this end. A lot of them have it, but this one's really sharp. This one here has a spoke catcher, so it actually grabs the spoke. There's a bunch of other tire levers. Those aren't all needed, but they definitely help out. You don't necessarily need this. If you're trying to change your tire and your tube's still good, we highly suggest this because using like another tool can puncture it. But if your tube's wasted already, you can use different things as far as like a crescent wrench and use the handle. Maybe even use a smaller one. You could use like a butter knife with the handle part if it's all metal. Something that's really dull, that's really thick and hard to help you remove it. But a lot of the tires, you can actually remove them without any tools. You can usually just use your hands. I know it seems kind of odd, but you definitely can. And I'll show you the reason why you can do that and how the rim and the tire kind of work hand in hand and how it was designed to make it easier to do that and for the tire to stay on. So you also need like a wrench like this. If you have a stock wheel, you have a 15 millimeters, so to remove that. If you have a lot of if you grind on your bike or something like that and you have an aftermarket wheel, it might have a 17, so you might need a socket or a 17 open wrench, or you maybe even need a socket extension if you have grinding pegs. Some of the pegs you might even need a screwdriver. If it has a hole in it, it's made to thread onto your axle. Let me see, some of the other pegs they just thread on and off. Just trying to think of all the little different things that you guys may run into. I know there isn't a generic bicycle, so all bikes are different, so just don't assume that every single bicycle is the same, because it's not. There could be small variances, and that's what creates bicycles to be different costs and different qualities. So usually on the lower quality ones, it's going to be a 15 millimeter wrench. On a lot of the department store, it's going to be a 15 millimeter wrench. How would you say, a lot of mountain bikes or beach cruisers, stuff that's not really made to jump or grind or anything like that, it's going to be the smaller 15. The larger ones are going to be like freestyle bikes, a lot of aftermarket parts, stuff like that. You're also going to need a tube. This one we have a Odyssey Air Supply. You can find these on our website, we just put them up. So if you want to get some tubes from us that are made by Odyssey. These ones are a little bit bigger, so these are a 2.10 to a 245. So yeah, I'll teach you about that tire size in a little bit so that you can go buy a tube. Another device you're going to need is a pump or a gas station pump or anything like that. But yeah, let's get to it. So first off, the first thing you're going to want to know is what size tube you ride. We get a lot of customers coming in here and they go, hey, you got a tube for my bike? And we go, yeah, we do. What size bike? What size tire? I don't know. So if you don't know, how can the guy at the store help you, because they're all different sizes? So the easiest way is to look on the side of the tire, and this one's going to be real difficult because it's got tread all over. It's got a few stampings here. It's got another thing here, it says nylon, and I'm gonna go all the way around, and voila, I think I found it, and yeah, I might have found it. So actually, nope, it doesn't say there, it just tells you the PSI. So we'll keep going around until we see it. It's not on that side. There's some more labeling on this side. It's not always labeled on one side, so you got to check around. So that's what I'm doing. I haven't looked at this bike. I haven't spec'd it out. This is me just on the fly trying to figure this out just like you would. So that's my goal, is to make you feel like I'm you and you guys are trying to fix your tire. So here we go. This is a 20x by 2.10. So kind of how that works is, if you can see here, there's a 20, then there's an X, and then a 2.10. A lot of the tires, they have different sizes, and the whole idea is to check it out. And there's two numbers. So the first number is the size of the actual tire. The second number is the width. So depending on the width of the tire and the size of the tire, that's what you're going to actually have to buy the tube size for. So the first number, usually a 20, 24, 26, 700, 28, 29, 27.5, 20, there's a bunch of other ones. But that's usually going to be the first number. So if you got something like that, that's the first number. The second number usually is a point, like has a point in it, like a 1.75, 1.95, 1.85, 1.9, 2.0, 2.1, 2.125, 2.2, 2.25, 2.3, 2.35, 2.4, 2.45, 2.5, and so you guys kind of get the idea. There's even some 4-inch tires out there. So that's how you figure out what the tire is. So when you go look for a tube, you just ask it for that size. Keep in mind that these things are just balloons. You don't really have to get the exact second number. The second number is just the width, so they can vary in different sizes. So these actually blow up to be like a balloon. So if you're trying to find a tube that's never going to be flat or anything like that, you're not having it. These are just balloons. Face it, you're going to get a flat eventually. Maybe go to a thorn resistant tube, but that's going to make your bicycle about a pound and a half heavier, just because they have tons of more rubber on one side. If you go with the solid foam tires and stuff like that, they're super squishy. If you get like a goo or slime or something like that inside the tube, or a self-sealing tube, what's going to happen is that slush is going to slush around. It's going to make it the rolling resistance really off. It's going to make your wheel off balance, and it's going to feel really weird. Make bar spins harder to do. And just when you get a blowout, it's going to get all over your rim. It's going to be a pain. So we recommend just having a regular tube, maybe keeping an extra tube in your backpack and a pump. The idea is kind of be like Bear Grylls and just be always prepared, and have a little bit of something to kind of help you get through whatever situation you're in. But this one here, we're gonna, like I said, it's just a balloon, so that one's the right size. Once you got the right size, or similar size, so like this one's a 2.1, we could use a 20 by 175 tube in it, no problem. We're just gonna have to pump it up with more air. You can use up to a 2.4 tube in it. It will bunch up a little bit, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's still going to stretch out and fit. So once you loosen up these bolts, clockwise, they're going to tighten up. Counterclockwise is the way you want to spin it to loosen it up. Some of them have these little washers on there that they hook on here. So those hook there so that the wheel doesn't fall out of there. A lot of the stock bikes or complete bikes come with that safety, because it's designed to sell to a customer that's going to build up the bike themselves, and last thing they want to do is for the wheel to fall off. They rather have it shake and for you to know it's shaking before it actually falls off. So if your wheel's shaking, you might check out your bolts and see, actually nuts, axle nuts, and see if they're tight, because if you hear something rattling around in your front wheel, it might be these just jingling around, and your wheel might be actually loose. So definitely check it out. So yeah, all right, easiest thing, once we got this tire off the wheel, or this tire off the bicycle, we're gonna pull this valve cap off. The first thing that I usually do is, I see a lot of people, this is the biggest mistake. I see them do it over and over. They talk like they're pros, and they still do this. They just assume that they can just start grabbing on the bike and start taking out all the, taking off the tire and everything. But it's always good to actually push the valve stem down, which is inside here. There's a, let's see if I can show you. There's a little dot in there, but if you depress that, it's going to allow the air to come out. So it's a valve in there, and that's why they call it a Schrader valve. So these are Schrader valve. The other sides are Presta valve, which are the little road bike looking style ones. So let all the air out. Some people say, hey, I just pushed it and all the air is out. But there's not really, the tire kind of holds form, so it usually holds a little bit more air. So you can actually push around the tire, maybe squeeze it against your stomach, maybe push it up against the wall or something like that to push more air out. But make sure you get as much air out as you can. The second thing you're going to want to do is just go around the tire and kind of break it loose off the rim. I know it doesn't seem like it's going to do much, but it actually helps, because sometimes you get gunk in here, sometimes there's slime in there, sometimes you just get water or run over a soda, and the tire just ends up sticking to the wall. The idea is that you don't want this rim sticking to this rim wall. I'll tell you why in a couple minutes. So I'm going to rip this thing off real quick. And show you how it's done. So I know you just see me take that off with my hand. It might not be easy for you because you got a double wall rim, you got this other thing going on, blah, blah, blah. But I know it's not going to be the exact rim because I don't have your bicycle here, so I'm not working on it, so it's not going to look exactly like your bike. But the theory and the idea all plays hand in hand, and this is where the concept comes from, and this is where a lot of people make a big mistake. So if you're familiar with the rim, this is what a rim looks like on a bicycle, and usually what happens is that in the center here, I'll pull this off, but the center here, it drops down a little bit more. This one has a really tall wall, but most rims are gonna drop down a little bit, and in the center here is gonna be a lot less space, I would say, right here. So, or it's gonna be a smaller circle. So if you look at it from the side, if you have an edge on your rim, this is where the tire sits. Down here is where the center of the rim is. So the whole idea is that when this tire airs up, the tire is gonna sit right on this edge right here, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna go all the way around. So this actual circle from here, and you guys can all agree with me, if you painted an imaginary line right here, just a little bit down, and you went all the way around, you can tell me that that circle is a lot bigger than this circle down here if you drew a line right on the edge of this part. We could all agree that, right? That's the number one thing to take off tires, whether it's a double wall or single wall rim. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna want to, here, I'll put this tire back on here. And I don't know if you guys caught that in the video when I was taking it off, but I know I make this look easy. Some people it's easy, some people it's hard. But all it is just doing it a lot. I've probably taken off, 5,000 tires and tubes in my lifetime, maybe more. But so I make it look really easy. When you're first doing it, it's hard to actually do it and actually pull it off, because you got to be doing multiple things, thinking about a bunch of different things. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So like I said, with the tire lever, you want to start off usually at the valve stem. Don't start at the end right here and work your way towards the valve stem. I know it's harder to get the valve stem here, but it's going to be a lot harder going the other way and working it to the valve stem. The reason why is because once you get all the way to the end over here, now you got everything bunched up towards the valve stem, and then you can't get this tire lever in here to get it out. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pop one of the beads with the tire lever or with whatever tool you have, or even in some cases you could even pop it over like this with your hand and use your thumb to depress it, just like so. And once it's depressed, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab one side, the opposite side of the rim, actually the opposite side of the rim, so this side of the rim, and you're going to grab the tire and push it inwards. The reason why is because you want to push this tire towards the center of the rim. The center of the rim is going to have the smallest circle. So the smallest circle, it's kind of like a hula hoop or a belt. If you put the belt at the middle of your belly, the belt may be tight, but as soon as your belt lowers to your hips, it's going to be a little bit looser, or vice versa if you got big hips. But you always want to start the tension here and keep the tension here, because as soon as you release this wire bead is going to cause this tire to pop right back out and be in the same spot. So the whole idea is you're going to want to grab the rim on the other side, and you're going to want to work it around. So you're going to want to work this thing around, all the way around to this side, and then come back on this side and work it around on this side. And that's going to create it to come over here. And if you just simply, let's say you don't have tools, you can just pull the tire off with a simple fold like that, and it'll actually pull the tire off. So the other way with the lever, you're going to want to have the lever in here, but the cool thing about this lever is that it has an actual spoke hook to hook the actual spoke. So that's why we like these. Some of the more difficult tires, we can hook it on here, and it's going to make it hold a lot harder. So if you're having a lot of trouble taking it off because you have a double wall rim or triple wall rim, I would suggest hold the tension here with the tire lever, and make sure you go around all the way through and go to the center. I know a lot of you guys, I know it's tough and you guys let it slip, but keep checking it, because sometimes the tire does pop back. If you don't believe me, I can, definitely take your tube off if you bring it to me, but I'm going to charge you. So if you guys don't like getting charged and you want to do it yourself, then I suggest be patient and just keep trying to figure out how to get that tire on there. Maybe even if you need 2 tire levers, but 2 tire levers is going to put more stress on this, cause more tension, and then it's going to make it harder to take it off. But if you feel that that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do. Try it, but just keep practicing. It's gonna get easier as time goes by. But yeah, you're just gonna once you got it there, push it all the way to the center. With this lever, you can just swing it around and go inside and pull the tire off. A lot of people do use this to pry it off, but once you start prying, then you can damage a tube. The tube can get stuck in between the actual, so what could happen is usually you could hook the tube on accident, and you don't see this, but you hook the tube under accident, and then you're here prying it like this, or the tube pops out and it's stuck underneath the rim, and then you're going like this and you're prying it, and it's over here pinching the tube, so then that destroys your tube. That's one reason why we don't give any warranties or anything like that on an inner tube, because a lot of the problems that happen is because they end up installing the tube wrong. So I'm gonna actually pull this out. So yeah, look at here. See this right here? Some people may say this is a faulty tube or whatever. It's split on the seam and blah blah blah. But in actuality, this isn't the fault of the actual tube. It didn't split on the seam. There's no actual seam. You can see the seam right next to it, and the seam's right there. This most likely happened from a spoke. It looks like it punctured it. No, excuse me. It looks like it punctured it right here, and then they just caused it to explode really quick and split the whole tube. So blowout right there. So easy. So that's one thing I want you guys to do is check it out before you put your tire on. Check this out. So you see this here? This is because the rim strap is crooked. This rim strap is just a rubber piece that is designed to protect your tube from these spoke heads. If you look at these spoke heads, they got a bunch of jagged little heads on there, so they can do a lot of damage. So what I want you to do is to make sure that this thing is covered up all the way. Also too, I want you to make sure that rim strap is in the center. I see a lot of people fighting it, but if you get your finger or you get like a screwdriver or something that you can run across around, it'll actually bring up the slack. So see that? Boom. Just one whole loop around, it'll make it real easy. But just go around and make sure that this thing's in the center. Because if you don't do that, it's going to cause another blowout like that tube down there, and you're going to waste your dollars just replacing tubes. And in actuality, tubes aren't very, very expensive. I know a lot of you guys go out there and spend, $5 to $10 on food every single day on some junk food that's no good for you. So, spending it on a bicycle part seems pretty cheap to me, especially a tube that's going to keep you rolling. That's like kind of the heart of a bicycle, is the inner tube. So, if you have a problem replacing tubes or paying for tubes, I just don't get it. But yeah, so just make sure that this thing's in the center, because obviously you don't want to pay for tubes. I'm not saying that you don't want to pay for tubes in general, but it just sucks fixing a flat. I think that's the number one thing, is you have to walk your bike. I think that's really where people get mad. That's where I get mad, at least. I don't care about a tube or buying one, just having to walk my bike when I got a bike. Second way to put on a tire is you're gonna, if there's any logos or anything like that, best to kind of think it out and plan it out. So this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the actual numbers right next to the valve stem, so we're not looking around for it. That's what kind of separates the professionals from the backyard builders. A lot of those guys, they pay attention to detail, they don't, most of them don't, unless they're pretty good at it. But if you're pretty good at it and you got in your backyard builder, I'd suggest opening a shop, because we could use a lot more guys like you. Doesn't really help being in the backyard, stuff like that. So I give you guys props because you guys do a lot of stuff, but cutting your overhead really kills a shop because they're trying to do something cool. So we just suggest you guys kind of get involved. It'd be pretty cool if you guys did. We definitely need a lot more bike shops around the world. So back to this, we got this rim on there. Same idea, you want to drop it into the center of the actual rim, and you're going to actually make sure that it's all the way around and keep pushing it, and then you can simply use your hand. Most of the time you don't need an actual tire lever. The tire lever is going to cause problems. It could even tear the little, I guess you would say, the bead a little bit. It tears off some of this, and eventually the tire won't work or it'll explode because of it. We've gotten a lot of customers that come in, see like this part right here, see how it's bending up right there? That's from like a customer using a wrench on it, and he just, beating it up. But once you got that side on, I think this is probably the harder side of it. A lot of people are always wondering how to put on a tube or what you should do. I know a lot of people say, hey, put a little bit of air in it, it'll make it round, blah, blah, blah. So you can do that, but I think most of you guys are stubborn. So I think majority of you guys are just gonna try to put the tube in straight. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that so that you guys can actually like see what you're doing and kind of go along with me. So if you look at this, most people are gonna just pull the tire to the side and try to drop it in and go, okay, now I gotta pull it up. Okay, that's not the way you want to do it. I know it's a simpler way to get the valve stem in the actual hole, but it's the harder way to actually put on the tube. So the easiest way I found to do it over 15, 20 years of doing this, is that I like to find the hole and then just simply tuck this tube up inside of it. And once you tuck the tube up inside of it, you want to, let me try to show you right here. You want to lift this tire off as much as you can, and then I want you to take your finger and just bend it over to the side to get it in the middle. And once it's in the middle, then I would try to aim the tube to the actual hole. Use your thumb to push it down into the hole. This tube you can, and I know a lot of tubes are going to push up like this. That's why you always keep this valve cap. This valve cap is what's going to help you keep that tube in there. Excuse me. So what I like to do if I'm having a troubled tube that keeps popping out and I'm having problems, I'm getting frustrated, what I'll do is I'll thread on this cap right here. And what that cap will do is actually hold it on. So now this tube won't ever come out. So once it's locked in there, now I know that tube's not going anywhere. Hold the tire out, and you're going to want to simply just take both hands and work your way around it. Don't just go on one side, because the whole idea is you want this valve stem to stay in place. So you want to go back and forth and install a tube. Doesn't really matter, you know what I mean, if it gets bunched up. Don't try to bunch it up too much, but at the same time don't, you know what I mean, try to force it or anything like that. Just kind of lay it in there. It'll blow up and it'll fix itself. So tuck it in there, and then what I want you guys to do is, a lot of people want to start off at the valve stem and start putting it on the valve stem part. Again, that's the hardest part. This is where a lot of people fail, and this is where I suggest that you try to go a different way. So what I would suggest is actually starting from the opposite side of the valve stem. I want you to just get your thumb, hold the other side of the rim right here, and then grab the tire here, and I want you to tuck it there. And then with your other hand, do the same thing, but work your way on another part. And keep working it, and I understand it's going to get a little bit tight, but the whole idea is that you want to work your way and make this valve stem the end. So start it here and go around and continue to go. And then now is where it starts to get hard. I notice a lot of people are sitting there struggling, and you want to get this thing in here, and then you start wrenching on it, and that's where you're going to get the flat, because you're going to grab that tube and you're going to actually pinch it. About 95 to 98% of the tires and tubes I put on with my hands. That's not because I have Gorilla Grip, that's just because I'm using science and using knowledge to put it on. So the whole idea is that you want to do it backwards. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I know it's a lot of things going on and you get frustrated and it's really hard, but thinking smarter, not harder, really helps out. So the whole idea is you want to put a little bit of pressure here, because you don't want this to fall back. And you want to grab this tire. Now that there's a tube in there, some air possibly, it's going to want to still push this tire toward the outside, which is the bigger circle. So you want to push this bead right here, which is a metal bead, and it's kind of like a hula hoop, and it's only one size. So if it's stretched out, it's not going to go over this lip, because now it's on this lip. So what you want to do is you want to get your fingers on this side and your thumb on this side and push this tire to the center. And you want to work your way all the way around to the end. And you want to push a little bit here, get a little bit more on, and getting tighter. Do it again. Do this as many times as you have to. Keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and keep the pressure on here. Because if you don't keep the pressure on here, it'll slip right back. And I know you guys dealt with that with the tire bead going back on, vice versa. But just keep pushing it on there, hold tension on it, keep pushing it on there. Sometimes the tube gets jammed up in there, but don't let it hold you back. And then work your way to the center, and then boom, pop it on. All right, now this is a really crucial part. This is where I see a lot of people have problems. They air it up, they bolt it on their bike, they air it up, they walk away for 5 seconds, and boom, tube blows up. And now they gotta buy a new tube and tire, because the tire just ripped the bead on the tire. This is because this actual tube gets caught inside of this tire bead right here, because it's the hardest part. And this has to do with when you install it. So I'll give you an example. So like if you pull this valve stem, you're so freaked out about that valve stem like falling out of that hole that you just keep it pulled tight, the thing is that this tire now is sitting up above the actual tube, and the tube is sandwiched in between the rim and the tire. So when you air it up, it's kind of like a car airbag, and it just keeps pumping it up until the tire gets lifted off and over the rim, and then the tube oozes out, and then boom, it blows up. So that's what you're doing, and that's what you don't want to happen. So what we're gonna do is we want you, I know the valve stem is, the hardest part. That's why you put the valve stem or the valve cap on it. So all I want you to do is wiggle it around, and I want you to push it up. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna lift the valve stem up higher and push that inner tube up and inside of the tire, and not in between the rim and the actual tire. So once you do that, then I want you to pull it back down, and you'll definitely feel the difference of how it feels. Same thing, you want to kind of just walk it around. Now, using the pump, I know you guys freak out and you think that the gas station pumps are what destroys your tube, but it's actually just the fact that you're airing it up too fast, and the tire or the tube might not be seated correctly. So it's better to be cautious. So what I want you guys to do is I'm not going to air this up all the way because I'm not trying to adjust these brakes. Just going to put something in there. Alright, so I just got a little bit of air in there, just so it holds form. But you want to do that just so that it airs it up, it gets all the little crinks out. You might want to squeeze it a little bit, let it move around in there. Next, you're going to bolt it back up to your bike. Make sure that you put these washers in these holes. I know you guys with the sick bikes, they're saying, hey, why are you using a crummy bike or anything like that? And that's because these videos are geared towards, I guess you would say, beginners, and people that just don't know how to install a tube, or maybe you're advanced, but you always have problems with tubes, and then you might want to learn some tricks. So maybe some of those tricks helped you out. So that's why we're making these videos. This isn't the end-all solution. This is just part of the solution that we're trying to create for BMX riders or bicycle riders in general. So just tighten it down before the brakes before you air it up all the way. And so yeah, you want to bring it up here, and yeah, so air it up a little bit. You just want it to be kind of firm, not really, just holding air. And the whole idea is you want to spin it and to see if the tire's on the bead. From here, you're going to be able to see if the tire's way off the bead. You'll see a dramatic change in the tire, and there's a line on the edge, and you can see it actually go up and down if the tire's not seated right. If you buy a brand new tire and you install it correctly and the bead sits up higher, it might wear out the bead on the side or bend it a little bit and actually cause it to always fall in a messed up spot. So be patient when you have brand new tires, because I've seen a lot of customers, they put on a tire really quickly and they don't seat it right, air it up, rewrite it for a few days, they realize that they got a hop in it, they try to fix it and they can't ever fix it because it keeps dropping into that same spot. That's just because they seated it wrong, and now they're trying to fix it after the fact and kind of just ruin the tire. It does happen. It's very, very seldom, but it does. And would hate to see your tire do that. But yeah, just make sure it's in there. If it's crooked or anything, let some more air out. Wiggle it around, maybe push it in certain places. Maybe air it out all the way, and wiggle the tire a little bit more. See if the tire is stuck in between the rim and the tire. But yeah, from there you should be good. And then just pump it up as much air as you want. This one says 40 psi. To be honest with you, I really don't trust a lot of these department store bikes. They got pretty crummy quality control, and a lot of stuff slips through the cracks. So I'll probably just put about 35 in here. So right there, a little bit more, maybe 38. And make sure you put on the valve cap. Notice how the valve stem's pretty straight. I know a lot of you guys have troubles getting it straight. That's because the valve stem or the tire is crooked. Another trick you can do is if it's crooked, you could actually hold the tire in the tube with just a little bit of air in it. You could actually hold the rim like this and then slide it this way or slide it this way. If it's jumping real fast and you can't really get it right, let some more air out so it doesn't have as much pressure, and you could slide it over till it's straight, and then you can push it up and pull it down again to make sure that valve stem is not underneath the tire and doesn't push it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, let me tell you about the PSI. So to know how much air you should put in it, there's a little verbiage right here that says inflation to, and it usually has max or something, and then it says like a number and then PSI. It could be a double digit, it could be a triple digit if it's a higher end tire. But most tires you can run between, I would say, about 25 to 65 to be safe. But check your tire to make sure that the tire can withstand that much air pressure. But just to be safe, 35 would be cool, unless you could find it. The max means that's the most air you can put into it, or they suggest. Usually you can put a little bit more, it's not gonna destroy it, but there's chances of the tire getting damaged. The lower end tires are gonna have a lower PSI. The higher end tires are gonna have a higher PSI, up to 100 pounds, 110 pounds of pressure, some even more. Yeah, the softer the tire is, the more likely it is to get flat. The squishier the bike ride's gonna be, the slower the bike's gonna roll, because it's, absorbing a lot of the bumps in the road and stuff like that. The harder the tire is, the more prone to, the less prone it is to actual thorns, because they end up, breaking off or shooting away. Glass, same thing. They do ride a little bit faster. It makes the bicycle ride a lot faster because it's riding on one center tread right here, rather than squishing down and riding on a lot more tread. Let me see, less likely to have like pinch flats where you case and you get two little snake bites. Yeah, that's pretty much I can say. Like I said, PSI is just suggestion. The max PSI is the max PSI that you can go to. The tire doesn't have to be pumped up to that much pressure, so if you do have like a tire that's 110 pounds and your pump only goes to 80 pounds, you're still good at 80 pounds. It's just going to be a lot softer ride. It's just a suggestion. Let me see, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if I forgot something. You guys can leave a comment below, let me know. I'm kind of sick right now, so it's pretty hard to do this, but I want to try to do another video for you guys, so that's why I'm here. But yeah, that's how to put on your tire with ease, or your tube in with ease. And this is our second BMX for beginners how-to. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we told you guys we're going to tell you how to win a bunch of free stuff from our bike shop, and mostly these rules are going to apply. All you got to do is like this video, share this video, turn on your notification bell so you know that we post a new video that you could enter again. And we also want you to comment below, let us know what you like about this video, what you don't like about this video, what other tech tips you want to know about in the future, maybe other parts that you guys want to see in the future. And yeah, just help us build this YouTube channel so that you guys have more stuff to watch and you guys can figure out how to work on your bike like a pro from us. And we can work together and build this community and make something cool so other people can get into bike riding or BMX in general, because the world would be a lot better place if there was more bicycles on the road. But yeah, thanks for watching this, and yeah, thanks for entering us. Leave a comment below, let us know exactly what you like and what you don't like. We like reading those comments. But once again, thanks for everybody watching this channel. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for everybody that didn't subscribe, but you still watch this video. Still helps us out, and we still appreciate that you watch this. And if you guys want to know more about bicycle parts and stuff like that, check out our website at stackbmx.com. You can buy tubes from there. You can buy all kinds of BMX parts and stuff like that. Hopefully get big enough, maybe we'll start up a stack mountain bike or stack beach cruisers or something like that. I don't know. But for right now, we're just doing BMX bikes because that's what we love. So yeah, check us out on there. You can check us out on Instagram at Stack BMX Shop, and also you can check out my page at Can't Stop LA. And yeah, thanks again for watching. Have a good evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.